Hello and welcome to Sunday night story time. Welcome to Life After Lupus and our Sunday night story time. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you being here, watching on replay. And just as I share my journey through from sickness to healing through my book called Life After Lupus, What's Your Autoimmune Name? So this book we just published last November and is out there on Amazon and or Barnes & Noble for pickup. And loving that we have an opportunity to share some of the messages in this book. I think, so many people are being diagnosed with autoimmune and maybe don't even have that specific diagnosis yet, but they know something is up and they're going through testing. And there are ways for us to get on the other side of illness and actually feel better. And so I share my journey in the hopes that someone who may be going through the same thing can utilize some of the same techniques and walk into that good health that is waiting for them. I know I always liken healing to, we get a cut or a scrape and we know that that's going to heal on our skin, on our outer body. But we don't often think that maybe we can heal from a chronic illness or something like that. And that's my suggestion. Perhaps we can. I know I have, and people who've done similar things, they've been well too. And we all kind of do the same things. Those of us who are well, we're super careful about what we eat, and we exercise, and we feed our spirits, and it takes that whole mind, body, spirit connection, because when one is out of balance, we tend to get out of sync with how we are supposed to be living. And we're supposed to be living these lives full of abundance and joy and peace, and we can kind of get off track. And I know I did long time ago. I was a pilot. I was flying every spare moment I could fly. I was a flight instructor trying to head to the major airlines and had logged about 600 flight time hours and loved every second of it. But I was always also working full time. And so I was doing all my flying on the weekends and in the evenings, and I would fall into bed eating a bowl of Lucky Charms or something like that at 9 o'clock at night. So I wasn't eating well, and I was neglecting so many other things as well, like body, mind, like all of it. I wasn't working out. I wasn't eating well. I wasn't feeding my spirit. I was just so focused, and we can get truly out of balance in that way. And we should have goals, great goals, because it's great to have those goals, and we need to be shooting for something or we don't hit anything. But careful to stay in balance as well. So part of my illness journey we're going to talk about tonight are just some things that I became super sensitive to, which is a huge indication that something might be going wrong with our bodies. So just paying attention to what's going on is really helpful. The first, we're going to read a couple chapters because they're very, very short. They're just like a couple of paragraphs. The first one is on scents, like smelling, the kind of scents that we smell. I couldn't wear perfume, and it's been many years since I've been able to do that. But first one is, I became very sensitive to scented anything and everything. I couldn't wear perfume, and I still don't. I'm not sure why strong perfumes give me headaches and nausea and made me very lightheaded, but they in fact did. 11 years or even years later, I'm sensitive to chemically produced scents. And that's key. The chemicals, the scented, like laundry detergent that isn't scented with essential oils or is unscented, anything besides that has heavy scents in it, those things are neurotoxins, and they really do impact the brain, our thinking, our ability to cognitively, in terms of thinking quickly. And a lot of people get a lot of migraines, and I know that was mine. I actually became super nauseous as well, so it was really uncomfortable. So I went to unscented everything. Most nature-based scents are lovely and tolerated and healing to me, but I cannot be around the chemically produced scents that are often found in room deodorizers, perfume, household products, personal care products, cosmetics, and those kinds of things. So I'm lucky now. I'm fortunate to have found a nature-based company where I can buy all that and feel well, be well, and not have any of the headaches or anything. The other thing I became super sensitive to was light. Kind of weird. Definitely the sun, but just even overhead lighting, I became super sensitive to. So I became sensitive to both natural and artificial light. I rarely turned on the lights at home, and only dim lights in the evening were tolerable. Sitting in front of my computer at work and under the fluorescent lighting also brought on the feeling of being underwater and just severe fatigue. Like I just couldn't get my strength. I mean, the longer I sat under lights, like especially at work, the sicker I felt. I was suffering from severe exhaustion again. I have since learned that fluorescent lighting and the computer both give off something that can bring on lupus flare-ups. I requested filters for the lights above my desk at work that would filter out the ultraviolet rays. These were provided, but I was still surrounded by the UV rays from all the other lighting in the workplace. And I know at the time, and this was so many years ago, there started to be these lights made without the fluorescent, those UV rays, and you can find them a lot in chiropractic offices. When you go there, it's almost, I don't know if it's a blue light or maybe that's the one that you shouldn't have, but it just is so much more peaceful when you're in that type of lighting. So if you are having any autoimmune issues, lighting can make a huge difference in how you feel all the time. I was also very sensitive to the sun, unfortunately. I couldn't spend any time in the sun or I would get an immediate migraine, feel extremely weak, and feel faint. If the sun did touch my skin, it would leave a deep red mark for some time after exposure. I wore large brimmed hats and was fully clothed as much as possible during those summer days. And summer was the worst. It was difficult to be outside for any length of time whatsoever. Interesting, I had to be almost all covered up, and it was super uncomfortable because it gets super hot here in Denver in the summertime, but I really couldn't let the sun touch my skin. Since then, that's not the case, but there were a few years there where I was I'd walk out and just an immediate headache. I worked downtown at the time, and the short walk from the parking lot to the office was a difficult endeavor, and I kid you not. I would eventually recover from these symptoms and enjoy many wonderful years in the sun. But at that time, my world became very small because I couldn't go outdoors. And even inside the house, I did keep it dark. That was just my the natural way. I didn't know like any different. It was just, that's what was comfortable. So I kept really soft overhead lighting on. Often the blinds were pulled so that the sun couldn't come in. If, they make houses now where if you're on the wrong side of, oh, Beverly, it's nice to see you too. Thanks for coming. That a lot of times one whole side of the house that's facing the setting or the rising sun is full of windows. And so that sun is blazing in, and I would keep all the blinds shut and the lights off. And it was really a dim time, to say the least. So I'm thankful to have recovered from all of those sensitivities to lights. But that may be another indication if you or someone who's dealing with autoimmune issues of any kind. I think we're all sensitive to kind of the same things, whether it's sense and lighting and that type of thing. So just something to think about, because we all want to feel better, and sometimes we just have to block out those things that don't make us feel well until our bodies can fully recover. Thankfully, mine did, with significant changes to my diet, not eating gluten and dairy and really any carbs at all. I was just eating vegetables, went to a plant-based diet for about 10 years back then, and now I'm back on the plant-based diet again. It just seems to work really well for me. Not everybody who suffers from autoimmune has to go plant-based. I know there's a gentleman that I watch. His name is Matt Embry, and he has a very interesting documentary on Amazon Prime called Living Proof. He was diagnosed with MS when he was 19 years old, and his dad was a professor. And I may have mentioned this before on one of my lives, but it's worth mentioning again because he is a phenomenal guy to follow. He's now in his 40s and again, diagnosed at 19 with MS and has had no episodes since that first one. His dad was a professor. His mom was a nurse. They got together and figured out what could help their son. Obviously, they didn't want to see their son end up like a lot of people end up with MS. And the common thread they found was diet as well. So he eats lean meats, fruits, and vegetables, and that's it. And in fact, he posted today, his daughter made him a celery juice thing with celery, ginger, and there was one other thing there after a run for him. And it was, oh, I can't remember what it was. Well, anyway, you can follow him on Facebook, and he's also got a website called mshope.com where he shares an entire cookbook for free. They'll send it to you. You can download it for free. I mean, really, his information is phenomenal because it's all for free, which is really what I try and do as well, because we want to get this information out. But he is a fellow autoimmune sufferer who doesn't suffer, is living healthy and well. And again, a lot of us have very similar type stories on how we heal, and food is certainly one of them. Getting the chemicals away from us, out of our homes, and using safe nature-based things in our home is also another way. I know he lives in Canada, so he doesn't have to worry about that, because those chemicals that are dangerous are not allowed in their groceries as they are here in the US. So I found a place where I shop online that doesn't use the dangerous chemicals that harm our bodies. So again, a couple of things, food and then chemicals, those two things together are really huge in terms of health and wellness. And then of course, on our spiritual side, really connecting with the Lord. My walk was completely divinely directed by God, and I am thankful that he stepped in. And sometimes our path isn't fully lit. It's just the one step in front of us that we know we need to do next. And we do that, and then the next step shows up. So mine was a very slow process, but it definitely was divinely directed. Wishing you all the health and wellness for you and your family. And reach out if I can answer any questions for you at all. My email is andrea@andrealendy.com. Would love to connect with anyone in your families that may need to talk to someone who's dealing, who has dealt and overcome the autoimmune issues. So thanks for being with me here this evening. Enjoy a healthy week, this Holy Week, as we started Palm Sunday today, and we go to Easter next week, which is very exciting. So have a wonderful week, and may blessings be yours. Thanks.